It's Teacher's Day! In Korea, as you can see, Teacher's Day is May 15th yearly. It turns out this is also King Sejong the Great's birthday. He was born on May 15th. As a practitioner, I always consider constitutional types.
At our director Jun Hee-jo's 4 Human Types Institute, the 4 Constitutional Medicine Institute, King Sejong the Great's constitutional diagnosis is the tender-minded type, air type, which means he was a Taehanin.
And coincidentally, I was following the BTS concert in Mexico City last week, wasn't I? It just so happened to be that way. Well, Mexico's Teacher's Day is the same as ours, May 15th. For us, that would be today, although there's a time difference. Friday, May 15th. It's Teacher's Day there. And here it says that in Spanish, it's called Día del Maestro. I also have a maestro, which means I have a teacher. On Teacher's Day, I absolutely must make sure to honor a teacher I want to thank. My teacher has authored many books, and among them, he wrote a comprehensive collection of works specifically about Lee Ge-gro. If you look here, the author's name is displayed. Director Jun Hee-jo is truly the teacher I am always profoundly grateful to and wish to express my deepest appreciation for. For your information, King Sejong the Great was also quite a Korean linguist, wasn't he? Lee Ge-gro is also similar in this respect. His constitutional type was also diagnosed at Director Jun Hee-jo's Research Institute. In the public forum, it's noted that Lee Gong-no, just like King Sejong the Great, is also a tender-minded air type, or a Taeyangin. I underwent my constitutional diagnosis way back in 2014, so it's been quite a while now. While many people do get diagnosed, not everyone goes on to practice constitutional medicine as diligently as I do.
Some people do and some don't, but as for me, I'm not so sure.
When I consider why I've consistently practiced it with such diligence, I wonder, who hasn't faced significant hardships in life? But I think my life was quite arduous. To begin with, when I was born, my mother wasn't around. I'm sure some of you also grew up without a mother, but the hardships and struggles are truly indescribable. And then, well, it would have been better if my father had simply focused on his children and not remarried, but he got married several times instead. So I ended up having many mothers, you see. And well, among those mothers, not all stepmothers are bad, nor are they all good, of course. But I suppose it was just my destiny, or perhaps my fate, that led me down that path. I met a stepmother who made life quite challenging and difficult for me, and I truly endured a great deal of suffering. So, simply existing, just being alive right now, truly feels like nothing short of a miracle, considering all the hardships I've endured. And on top of that, I was born with a frail body. I personally have some circulation problems. That's why as a child, my lips were constantly blue. But then, given my poor health and the myriad of difficult family matters I endured as a child, I believe I was able to comprehend the principles of 4 constitutional medicine much more rapidly. So, in a sense, I can't help but feel that it was a blessing in disguise, or perhaps even a case of turning misfortune into a blessing. And so, because my body was frail, as I mentioned, I went to renowned places, didn't I?
Famous constitutional clinics, Sasan Constitutional Medicine Clinics, Korean Medicine Clinics, 8 Constitution Clinics. I must have gone to so many of them.
And when I start something, I see it through to the end. So I went as many times as they told me to. But they all gave me a different constitutional diagnosis, so I became completely disillusioned and told you I stopped going to Korean medicine clinics altogether. A long time passed after that, but I guess I still had this belief that constitutional types exist. And that's how I preciously found my way to Director Jun Hee-jo's 4 Human Types Institute. So for me, it's a bit more significant than what others might think. I consider it very precious. And when I see people who receive their constitutional diagnosis but then don't seriously practice it, I think, they haven't endured enough hardship. When you hit rock bottom, whether because of family struggles or health issues, that's when you finally grasp the meaning, That's what I occasionally come to realize. Come to think of it, since 2014, I've never given a single penny to Director Jun Hee-jo. We have no business dealings whatsoever, and I've never paid for a constitutional diagnosis or anything like that. Not once. It was just, really. He truly taught me everything, just like a devoted student. I suppose it was because I've been such a consistently diligent, long-term, and loyal member for so many years. So it's not like I even have his personal contact information or anything of that nature. I've also never actually met him in person, offline.
We've only ever met online, so it means I've never once had the opportunity to give him any kind of gift.
So I wonder what to do, and this year it was truly weighing heavily on my mind. I decided that for Teacher's Day, I absolutely had to make a donation in my teacher's name. So I made a donation. It was to a place called the Green Umbrella Children's Foundation. And I also made a donation to this orphanage in director Junhee Jo's name as well. You see, this particular orphanage is one I have a special, long-standing connection with.
When I first received my constitutional diagnosis back in 2014, my director said something that was also mentioned in the blog post earlier. He explained that understanding your constitutional type isn't merely about self-knowledge or dietary choices. What's truly essential is nurturing the soil of your heart, cultivating it to be gentle and beautiful. He really emphasized the importance of sharing.
And I mentioned that sharing includes volunteering and donating, right? But spending money or exerting effort for your family or for your friends or perhaps for your religion, those particular actions, they truly do not qualify as genuine acts of sharing.
And that is precisely what sharing is, offering something without the expectation of any personal gain or reward. So, that very year, after receiving my constitutional diagnosis, I began volunteering at this particular orphanage, providing tutoring assistance.
Now the child is all grown up, so I initially volunteered as a tutor, but then transitioned to making small, regular donations to the orphanage. And today, an idea suddenly sparked, so I decided to make a donation in my teacher's, my director's, name to that very orphanage. Yes, this is the blog screen that I often show to you all. It's Chunijo's 4 Human Types Institute. He really has the attitude of a classical scholar from the Joseon dynasty, a true academic in every sense of the word. He embodies that spirit.
He's a person of immense integrity, and although a time might come when I could offer him a modest gift, I'm quite aware of his nature. If a present were overly lavish, he is precisely the kind of individual who would politely decline it, given his noble character and strong principles.
On this blog, there are also members, like myself, who have been active for a very long time, diligently contributing to the community. I've said my constitutional type was tender-minded, haven't I? However, there is also a forum where those who have been actively involved for a long time gather, and it includes both tender-minded and tough-minded constitutional types.
I've told you that character transcends constitutional types. So, individuals of good character, who have diligently engaged in this practice for a significant period, are indeed gathered together in that special forum designated for our expert members.
Since it's Teacher's Day, I was thinking about what to do, and there's a post on director Junhee Jo's 4 Constitutional Medicine Research Institute blog that introduces him. So I'd like to read that to you now. If you look here, you'll see it says Notice right now. There are 3 pinned notice posts right now. Welcome to my blog, followed by copyright protection, defamation enforcement, and then something else. I'll go ahead and click on Welcome to my blog, which he always prominently displays as the very first screen you see.
All right, I mentioned I'd read this introductory piece, but I'm actually feeling a bit unsure about it.
Everything here is in English, but I'm going to attempt to read it through nonetheless. 4 human types. Welcome to my blog. Greetings! I warmly welcome you all to my blog. My name is Junhee Jo. I practice as both a dietitian and a marriage counselor through online platforms, and additionally, I work as a historian in a more traditional, offline setting. Hello everyone! A warm and hearty welcome to my blog. My name is Junhee Jo. Online, I serve as both a dietitian and a relationship counselor, specializing in compatibility. And offline, I also work as a historian, you see. I majored in biology, food, and nutrition at Yonsei University. After accumulating numerous clinical trials and comprehensive databases on the constitutional medicine of 4 human types, collaborating extensively with both Western medical doctors and doctors of traditional Korean medicine, I developed specialized constitutional diets for patients with various internal diseases. Medicine, I have developed personalized constitutional diets for patients suffering from various internal diseases and conditions. I pursued my studies in biology and nutritional science at Yonsei University. While collaborating with Western and Korean medicine doctors, through many clinical trials, I have accumulated a large amount of data regarding the 4 constitutional medicine types. Furthermore, I devised constitutional dietary regimens specifically for individuals suffering from internal diseases. Furthermore, I possess Korea's leading expertise in the field of constitutional medicine, specifically regarding the advanced techniques for distinguishing and classifying the 4 human constitutional types. With my expertise in the diagnosis and classification methods of 4 constitutional medicine, I am ranked among the top in Korea. Let me share a bit about my family's history. My parents were both born in Pyeongan province in North Korea. But because they were branded as, or rather unjustly labeled as bourgeois because of North Korea's land reform policy implemented in 1946, they were tragically expelled and consequently settled in South Korea as refugees. My parents, you see, were originally born in Pyeongan province, located in North Korea. However, in 1946, following North Korea's land reform policy, they were branded as bourgeoisie and consequently expelled. They were expelled from the north and settled in the south, meaning South Korea. They settled in South Korea as refugees. My paternal great-great-grandfather was a man of significant wealth, living in Jeongju, North Pyeongan province. He was also a fervent patriot who, alongside my great-grandfather, was actively involved as an anti-Japanese independence activist throughout the challenging period of Japanese colonial rule. My paternal great-great-grandfather was a wealthy man from Jeongju, North Pyeongan province in North Korea. He was a patriot and anti-Japanese independence activist, active with my great-grandfather during the colonial period. That was my great-great-grandfather. And during the Japanese colonial period, my great-grandfather, alongside my great-great-grandfather, served as an anti-Japanese independence activist. Patriots who dedicated themselves to our country. My maternal grandfather, from my mother's family, worked as a pharmacist in the city of Pyongyang. My maternal grandfather, on my mother's side, used to be a pharmacist in Pyongyang. My father was a veterinarian who pursued and specialized in both pharmacy and veterinary medicine at Seoul National University. And his brother, my paternal uncle, is a pediatric nephrologist who focuses on kidney diseases in children. My father majored in veterinary medicine at Seoul National University and he was a vet. He also majored in pharmacy, and his brother was a pediatric nephrologist, a doctor specializing in children's kidney diseases. Our family's faith tradition is Catholic, and I was given the baptismal name Saint Nicholas. However, speaking for myself, I hold a profound interest in various spiritual traditions, specifically Islam, the Russian Orthodox Church, and the indigenous ethnic religions of Korea. My family's religion is Catholic, and my baptismal name is Saint Nicholas, after the beloved saint. Personally, Islam. Religion and... Personally, I find myself deeply interested in various faiths, including Islam, the Russian Orthodox Church, and the indigenous Korean ethnic religions. Health history. My health journey. I was born in Seoul, and from an early age, I suffered from bronchial asthma, a condition that troubled me for 2 decades, ever since I was a mere 3 years old. I was born in Seoul, and from the tender age of 3, I suffered terribly for 2 decades with bronchial asthma. So I had a lot of philosophical concerns, particularly about the Buddha's 4 doors: birth, aging, sickness, and death. Ever since I was a child, I've been pondering the concept of Buddha's 4 doors.
However, upon encountering constitutional medicine during my college years, my condition significantly improved.
And as I was able to eventually understand the fundamental principles of disease that modern hospitals were completely unable to explain, many of my long-held questions have since been answered. From a very young age, I was inevitably drawn to philosophical inquiries concerning birth, aging, sickness, and death, truly Buddha's 4 doors, which led to many deep reflections. The unexplained causes of illnesses that hospitals couldn't elucidate or comprehend. In college, I was exposed to constitutional medicine, and from it, I was able to find many answers. Understanding your unique constitutional type and shifting your perspective from merely asking, "What should I eat to improve my health?" However, shifting one's perspective to "What foods should I avoid to recover and improve?" is the key secret to triumphing over illness. Knowing your own constitutional type, and then the key to overcoming illness lies in shifting your mindset from asking, "What should I eat to improve my health?" to pondering, "What should I avoid eating to enhance my well-being?" If you hail from a distinct cultural background and find yourself drawn to my blog, there's a strong probability you possess a tender-minded, air, or water-type constitution, categories established by the esteemed psychologist William James. And if you eliminate coffee, beer, and pork, which are precisely the products classified as detrimental to the tender-minded constitutional type, you will discover that your health will naturally and significantly improve all on its own. The individuals who show interest in my blog likely possess a somewhat distinct cultural background, I believe. It is highly probable that you are what is known as a tender-minded type, a classification established by the esteemed psychologist William James. The tender-minded type actually encompasses the air type and water type, which refer to individuals possessing the energies of air and water. For this tender-minded type, coffee, which is classified as being harmful to them, beer, and then pork. Even simply stopping the consumption of just these particular foods would significantly enhance your well-being. This is particularly true for those of the tender-minded constitutional type. Because constitutional medicine can be applied not just to your physical well-being, but also to psychological challenges and interpersonal connections, making it profoundly effective. This constitutional medicine, you see, does not just affect physical health, but it also impacts psychological issues and interpersonal relationships. Therefore, it can not only improve your health, but also help overcome family strife and relationship problems. It can have a positive impact not only on physical health, but also on psychological well-being, helping to resolve family disputes and improve interpersonal relationships. What I mean is, it positively influences overcoming family discord. Approximately a century ago in Korea, a distinguished individual by the name of Lee Jae-ma, who lived from 1837 to 1900, established what is known today as constitutional medicine. This distinctive branch of constitutional medicine stands apart from traditional Chinese medicine. My esteemed mentors, who are highly respected physicians and Oriental doctors, have painstakingly evolved the original 4 human-type constitutional medicine into a more intricate and comprehensive constitutional medicine system. 100 years ago in Korea, a man named Lee Jae-ma, a teacher, discovered Sasan constitutional medicine, which had branched off and evolved from the traditional Chinese medical practices. This new theory he created it. And my mentors, consisting of both Western medical doctors and traditional Korean medicine practitioners, those individuals, they adapted the original existing Sasan constitutional medicine and advanced it into a more complex form of constitutional medicine. One of my mentors, having studied in both Brazil and Israel, then dedicated themselves to disseminating and promoting the constitutional medicine. One of my mentors studied extensively in both Brazil and Israel and is currently actively propagating the principles of this constitutional medicine around the world. Although, in Western culture, originating from ancient Greece, both the theory of the four temperaments and the theory of the four elements were in existence and widely accepted. The four constitutional medicine, which has been elaborately developed by combining Eastern and Western arts, sports, science, and medicine, alongside the humanities, psychology, and religious studies, is a comprehensive system built upon a foundation of diverse disciplines. Philosophy and social sociology. That is what we have now. Although in ancient Greece and Western culture, the theories of four temperaments and four elements existed, we now have the four constitutional medicine. This system has been elaborately developed by combining Eastern and Western arts, sports, science, and medicine, as well as humanities, psychology, religious studies, philosophy, and sociology. There's air, fire, water, and earth. In Korea, you can readily discover a wealth of information concerning constitutional medicine available on the internet. You must be very cautious and careful due to many errors that much of this information available contains. I am optimistic that when you examine the relevant profile, you will be able to determine whether the clinical trials were conducted. However, even among traditional Oriental doctors, mistakes can occur. So the sheer fact that you stumbled upon and found my blog means you are truly blessed with good fortune. In Korea, you can find a lot of information about constitutional medicine online, but you must be careful as there are many errors. While I truly hope you can check each profile to confirm if clinical trials were conducted, even doctors specializing in Korean medicine can make errors. Therefore, you're indeed fortunate to have stumbled upon my blog. This is my hobby. It is what I enjoy doing. Since 2006, I have had the opportunity to travel to several European countries, including France, Italy, Germany, and England. And I also had the opportunity to visit Czechia, Hungary, Russia, Estonia, and Poland during my extensive tour across the beautiful continent of Europe. Among the many cities I visited, the ones that left the deepest impression on me were Spreewald in Germany and Moscow in Russia. I will never forget the immense kindness shown by the citizens of Cologne and the dedicated staff of the University of Leipzig. Since 2006, I have visited France, Italy, Germany, the United Kingdom, Czech Republic, Hungary, Russia, Estonia, and Poland during my travels across Europe. The cities that left the biggest impression on me were Spreewald in Germany and Moscow in Russia. The kindness of the people in Cologne and the staff at Leipzig University, I can't forget it. Well, my hobbies include listening to both classical music and heavy metal music. I find joy in the diverse sounds of these genres. My absolute favorite classical music composers include Bach, Chopin and Debussy, Messiaen, Charpentier, and several others. Scriabin, as well as Schnittke for classical composers. And when it comes to rock bands, I find immense enjoyment and pleasure in the powerful music of Judas Priest, Ozzy Osbourne, Megadeth, and Slayer. And as for German bands I particularly enjoy, listening to groups such as Scorpions, Accept, Rammstein, and Creator. I really enjoy listening to classical music and also heavy metal music. My absolute favorite classical composers are Bach, Chopin, Debussy, Messiaen, Jolivet, Scriabin, and Schnittke. And Schnittke. Regarding rock bands, I enjoy listening to the music of Judas Priest, Ozzy Osbourne, Megadeth, and Slayer. From Germany, I also really enjoy bands like Scorpions, Accept, Rammstein, and Creator. Their compositions imbue me with immense energy and serve as a profound source of inspiration for my literary endeavors and creative works. For your information, even musicians can also be distinguished and categorized into the 4 constitutional types. Their music provides me with immense energy and inspiration for my writing endeavors. For your information, those musicians can be classified by their 4 temperaments, or rather, the 4 distinct constitutional types. History story, a story from history. Currently, my research delves into the experiences of Korean international students in Europe during the 1920s, alongside exploring Korea's modern history. Moreover, I have written 20 books on subjects related to history and religion. Furthermore, my thesis is also extensively cited in the book mentioned below. This is Joonhee-jo, that's Joonheejo. Currently, my research focuses on the activities of Korean students studying in Europe during the 1920s and modern Korean history. Additionally, I have published around 20 books on both history and religion. My academic thesis is also referenced in the following book. Frank Hoffmann. His work is Berlin Koreans and Pictured Koreans. Razens Verlag. 2015.
I also have a profound interest in the Czechoslovakia region and hold the distinction of being the first Korean to visit the tomb of General Radola Gajda in Prague. My research on this extends to the activities of Korean international students in Europe during the 1920s, connecting historical narratives across continents and time periods.
In Frank Hoffmann's 2015 book, published by Praesens, my thesis was cited there. It was cited there. I also have a profound and enduring interest in the Czechoslovak Legion, and I had the distinct honor of being the very first Korean to visit the burial site of General Radola Gajda in Prague. The Last Airbender. 2010. In any case, I truly hope that the comprehensive health methodologies derived from 4 constitutional medicine, alongside the invaluable relationship insights I've diligently researched throughout my entire life, will provide substantial assistance and guidance to individuals globally who are experiencing distress. This is the heartfelt aspiration of Director Joonhee-jo.
Anyway, I truly hope that the 4 constitutional medicine health methods and relationship know-how, which I've dedicated my whole life to researching, will be of great help to all those who are suffering across the globe. Director Joonhee-jo.
P.S. Please note that overseas email services like Gmail often categorize incoming messages as spam, which can prevent them from being delivered reliably. This issue causes a lot of trouble for me. If you want to get in touch, please use Naver email, especially if you're among the many Koreans who already know about it, as other international emails might not reach me well. P.S. Emails from overseas services like Gmail may be marked as spam and not be delivered properly. If you wish to get in touch, please ask a Korean acquaintance to contact me through Naver email. Translated by Frank Lim. Translation by Frank Lim. Yes, in honor of Teacher's Day, I'd like to read the welcome to my blog notice found on the website of my 4 Human Types Institute, Director Joonhee-jo's Sasacheji Research Institute. My English isn't very good, so I stumble through reading it and then try to interpret it in my own way. I truly hope this proves helpful to those who may be in need.